start today's discussion with vaccines, right? Vaccine, cytokine, and that antiviral agent. So, what do you understand by vaccine? What do you understand by vaccine? Vaccine is a method to immunize, or you can say that it increase the capacity of, uh, of your human of your body, so that it can make the antibody in preparation, or keep the antibody ready whenever this enters any pathogen, especially the virus and bacteria enters into the body. So as you all know that immunity is of two types, like active immunity and then passive immunity. So most of this immunity that comes uh, as the passive immunization. So passive immunity. So passive immunity is there. So it could be like that. So you put or you keep your antigen ready and put inside your body before the disease comes. So it will help you to boost or keep your antibody ready. So whenever some disease or pathogen attacks, so it will kill or keep your body fine, right? So people are ready. Okay, 6 participants. So this is active immunity. This comes with resistance developed in response to stimulus by an antigen, and that is characterized by the production of antibodies by the host. The passive immunity is immunity conferred by an antibody that is produced in another host, right? Antibody produced in another host, and it may be acquired naturally or artificially, right, through an antibody containing preparation. So people are still coming. Class में जैसे लेट आते हैं ना, अभी भी आ रहे हैं, टाइम ही खत्म हो जाएगा. So the immunizing agent are, so there are few, people are still coming. So इसी में 5-6 मिनट चला जाएगा जैसे क्लास में जाता था. So the immunizing agents are vaccine, then immunoglobulin and anti-serum, right? These are अभी भी आ ही रहे हैं, इसलिए just I have to again some people can. So that is immunizing agent, the vaccine and immunoglobulin and anti-sera. So these are the thing. So the vaccination क्या है? What is vaccination? So vaccination is a method of giving antigen to stimulate the immune response through active immunization. So vaccination, how to define vaccination? Is a method of giving antigen, right? So it will not should be pathogenic. So the amount of antigen should not be such that it create pathogenicity. The amount of antigen should be like that, so that it can increase the immune system, or the people get ready. The immune system get ready for anything that are going to enter in future. So the vaccine is an immunobiological substance, right? And it is designed to produce a specific protection against given disease. So suppose the corona is there. So from corona, suppose you are going to make any vaccine in future. So that vaccine must be prepared by this host, this coronavirus itself, either by the spike protein, or either this spike protein gets attenuated or something like that. Or there are traditional vaccines or DNA vaccine. There are two types of vaccines, like traditional vaccines and DNA vaccine. Traditional vaccines are usually prepared from the protein of the pathogen or lipopolysaccharide of the pathogen. Either it may be bacteria or it may be a virus, right? Most important thing is in that like DNA virus. So DNA vaccine, the DNA vaccine is more stable because this is high temperature, we can withstand. So when DNA is just like you make that DNA that produce the protein of the antigen. So the DNA vaccine is more stable than the traditional vaccine, traditional vaccine. So this is the new development, like DNA vaccine. DNA vaccine is always better for a future, because your storage problem is not there. Suppose some protein, the vaccine you keep, and it is in room temperature for longer time. What will happen? The vaccine property is gone. So that's why I have seen sometime that people are, even if they are getting the polio virus, but they get infected with the polio, because there is no problem of the virus. Sorry, the vaccine. The vaccine is problem in the storage of the vaccine. Storage सही नहीं है, इसीलिए वो खराब हो जाता है. Chakar is coming. She is always late. So how it back? Like, it is not this new thing. It is not a new thing. Vaccine and others, the antibody and other things are not new. It's around 500 BC. 500 BC. These are long time. These are going on, right? The place, this is reported in history, is the Greece, the first place when this antibody and other things are coming, right? So 2,500 years ago, people knew about the immunity. It's nothing new, right? Greek physician noticed that people who survived smallpox never got it again. So that may be the reason. That people are, you get the concept of immunization, that concept of vaccination, that people can be free from disease if the vaccine is there. So corona is the latest outbreak, and so the vaccine preparations and other thing will take time, right? So it is a brilliant idea. So get it immunized, and fight the disease before. So it's just like that, you are ready for anything that going to happen, right? Vaccination, all of us, I think the Charles Jenner in 1796, they have developed that, this vaccination concept, and 800 compulsory child vaccination from the cowpox. So the cowpox from cow, so cow, that the meaning of vacca, that means cow. So from that word, the vaccination, the vacca word, the vaccination came, right? So this is the concept. Like, vaccination is just getting ready for the disease, right? To fight with the disease, not ready for the disease, rather to fight with the disease, right? Then again, people are coming. So smallpox, you have already known to that. There is no such nowadays you can't see that death due to the smallpox. So it is same thing that going to happen in future with the corona. I'm confident about that. So chances of eradication of any disease is very, very high when there is no animal reservoir. We have already discussed in the last class. So no animal reservoir, lifelong immunity can be successful. So if there is an animal reservoir of any virus, so that is possible that this virus will keep on changing, keep on mutation on that protein. So in future, they can bind with the new, and the capacity to infect the new host. So like smallpox, there is no animal reservoir. So the vaccination is highly successful. I don't know either vaccination will be successful in case of corona or not, because it is very difficult, because the animal host, reservoir host are there. So this is the concept of this. So types of vaccine. Let us class live vaccine. So simply you put some amount of the antigen inside the body. It is live vaccine. Attenuated live vaccine. Attenuated, that means you change the pathogenicity of either, most of the time it is protein, and so that protein, so you heat it or you attenuate it, you change it, something like that, and inactivate it. Attenuated ke baad aata hai, that is inactivated the still virus. And another one is toxoid. I've already told you. Polysaccharide and polypeptide fractions. So the protein or the part which can be able to cause, like disease. So that is the thing, right? And surface antigen, and these are mostly prepared by recombinant part. So recombinant proteins like that. Live vaccine, I've already told, the live attenuated vaccines, like in malignancies, like in radiation, then receive live attenuated vaccine should be administered to the person with suppressed immune response. Otherwise, what will happen? The immune response is very high, so maybe you will get disease. So you have to suppress the immune response first, and then you can put the active vaccine on that, right? Next is vaccine has several advantages, but the live attenuated vaccine has advantage that may form a wild virus. So simply a small spike protein, so which can be able to cause or activate the immune system, but in the same time is unable to activate or cause disease. So that is the active vaccination concept. So it happens most of the time. Many people used to do that, right? So number of vaccines, live attenuated vaccines like measles, like rubella, like varicella. So that is called varicella, some part of the skin. The BCG, I've already talked in that last class. Still people are coming. It's like inactivated protein or inactivated vaccine. So you have to take the pathogen and kill it by most of the time by heating. So the protein, the peptide sequence will be there, but that doesn't have the conformation. So it cannot be able to cause the disease, but at the same time, it can be able to activate the immune response. And once the immune response is ready, the antibodies are ready. So when you got infected with the virus, so you don't have to activate the such much time. So your army in the form of antibodies are ready to fight with the disease, right? So that happens. And then definitely the pathogen most of the time are either bacteria or virus. So that this type of, so sometimes people say the bacterial vaccination or viral vaccination, but this is simply a terminology, nothing more than that. So these are the molecular part of that, the viral. So let me say some about the types of vaccines I've already told. The live vaccine, live attenuate vaccine, killed inactivated vaccines like toxoid. So some pathogen that secretes some toxic agent and which is able to cause the disease, right? Toxic agent that able to cause the disease. So that is called toxoid. So in case of diphtheria and tetanus, that happens, diphtheria and tetanus. So the toxoid. Cellular fractions may act, right? And the recombinant vaccines, because you know the protein, if you know the protein, then you can, and a sequence of the protein, it can be activated or it can be prepared in recombinant vectors, and that can be used, right? Route of administration, most of the time, either oral, like Sabine vaccine, BCG vaccine, intradermal, then intranasal, some vaccines can be given, like influenza vaccine can be given intranasal. Deep subcutaneous, like these are the vaccines type that route of administrations are there. And then scheme of immunization is like primary vaccination. So primary vaccinations like simple one dose vaccine. You have to put only one dose. But polio is not a one dose. It have to be multiple booster vaccination. So some part is activated. Some antibodies are ready. But in the next time when you put the booster, it is almost all. And the level after the decline after some time. Why the booster is needed? Because the capacity to create, capacity to increase, capacity to prepare the antibody will decline with the time. So that's in that cases you need the booster, booster. That booster TV ka booster they can know how to increase the signal, right? So that the way you put the booster to like that. So create immunity. So maybe 3 to 5 years in different age group the vaccination is done. A short period cholera vaccine, 2 years TB vaccine, 3 to 5 year DPT vaccine, like 10-year yellow fever vaccine, 5 or more years BCG vaccines. This happens. Like level of effectiveness. People thought that okay, vaccination is done. So maybe you are 100% effective, not most of the time. It is not most of the time you are 100% cure, 100% effective. So absolutely protective, that is 100%. Like most of the cases is 99%, like variola, measles, mumps, rubella. This is very good effective. Highly protective, like polio is highly protective. That's why you see some of the cases, very few cases in that. People, this is a very interesting thing. Suppose you have already witnessed the great coronavirus effect throughout the globe. So suppose you are immunized, the people of India are immunized with the coronavirus, and people from surrounding countries are not immunized. Doesn't matter, right? So the people from the next generation will be get infected. Definitely, they will get infected because corona can come. Those persons. So when the immunization should take place, that should takes place throughout the a particular territory. Otherwise it is not successful. So suppose you are not having the disease, but the next generation may get the disease because the neighboring countries are not getting immunized for that. Because virus can travel, they don't need no need of any aeroplane or something. It's like that, they can travel like so this is the vaccination most of the time. So what is important to know, the vaccination kya hai. So vaccinations ke type kya hai, I have already told. The effectiveness I have already told. There are two type of vaccines. Most of the time people used to ask, and sometimes come in that questions also, like traditional vaccine and DNA vaccine. Traditional vaccines are those vaccines are generally prepared by the substance of the pathogenicity. Pathogenicity, that means the protein or polysaccharide most of the time. And DNA vaccine is most of the virally constructed. So one, just like viral infections, when it enters into the cell, it actually hijack the machinery of your body or the cell, and then finally, what does it do? It actually creates their own protein. So DNA get transcribed, and if they transcribe, they get protein, and that protein is effective. There are advantages of DNA vaccine over the traditional vaccine. So what is the advantage? Because DNA can withstand heat, especially the Indian subcontinent. Yeah, but if suppose you keep some virus or some vaccination in your room or some public health system, public health places, and there is no current for 24 hours or 48, nobody bothers. Nobody bothers. Again, on Monday they will get, and you go, and they will put the vaccine. So that vaccine will not work. But if it is DNA vaccine, it may withstand, because DNA can withstand in room temperature. So that is the advantage of DNA vaccine, right? So then we will shift to another small topic like cytokines, right? We have already known to the cytokines. So cytokines, this what is autocrine. I don't have so much time, maybe 10-20 minutes. Like endocrine, like interleukin, then paracrine, then pleiotropy, stem cell factors. So these are the word list you should know. These are chemically, cytokines are low molecular weight protein, and that is less than 30 kilodalton, right? High affinity for receptor. Cytokine has high affinity for receptor, and active is very small amount, that is picomole. Then chain of cytokine action, how it works, that is stimuli is there, and that is when the stimulus is there, most of the time, suppose you get infected with some viral infection, the first this system that occur is complementary system, and where the cytokine have great role to play. So when the stimulus is there, the stimulus and then cytokine, then it producing the cells, right? Cytokine producing cells are activated, and that produces cytokine, and the cytokine is successful in killing any pathogen by activating most of the time this humoral system, blood system, not the cell mediated immunity. The biological effects are there, right? So cytokine genes are activated on stimulus, then they produce cytokine, they actually get signals into the cells when they get infected, and they gives the biological functions. So finally, the pathogenicity of particular disease is gone, right? So the name of cytokine depends on three factors. Name of the cytokine depends on three factors, like source. If it is from lymph, so that is called lymphokine. Function, if they act like chemicals, they are called chemokines. They are called intercellular action, intercellular between two cells, so that are called interleukins. So that is very famous one, interleukin, right? So the source, lymphokine, lymph, if it is lymph node. Function, according to the functions, maybe chemokine. And then intercellular action, that means interleukins, right? Leukins, interleukins. And then action of cytokine. So I was already told, in the same generating cells, autocrine in nature, so that get generated and affect the same cell. So that is called autocrine in action. Paracrine, that means this effect the cells in immediate vicinity, the surrounding cells. And then endocrine, they are endocrine also. What does it mean, endocrine? So the chemical interleukins goes to the blood, and from blood to the target cells. That is called endocrine. So the action of cytokines may be autocrine, paracrine, and endocrine, right? So I cannot show you the photograph. So pleiotropy, that means action of cytokines that are in a pleiotropy. So they affect multiple cell types. One chemokines or cytokine affect multiple cell types. They are redundant, repeated, maybe many times. The synergistic actions, so it acts with another functions of the cells maybe, and sometimes competing. Suppose there are more chemokines, so like that, so they compete each other to do the function, and then cascade of events. So cytokine action sequentially. So one cytokine, suppose the IL-2 is action, then IL-3, then IL-5, just like that, a cascade of action. So cytokine generating cells, there are two kind of immunity that does it, like macrophages that generate, so that is helpful in innate immunity. Endothelial cells, that actually effective in that innate immunity. Fibroblast, right? And then adaptive immunity, so this produce T lymphocyte, macrophages, and NK cells, natural killer cells. So these two types of things are there on right, that's 10-minute hair. So cytokine receptors are there, like IgG, Ig superfamily receptors, class 1 hematopoietin receptor, class 2 interferon, TNF, tumorous necrosis factors, they are receptor of that, and then chemokines. So I don't have time to explain. So you go through the notes, you will get in the website, but these are the things. So cytokine receptors are like signal transductions, so many phosphorylations of tyrosines, and then signaling like that. Then translocation of STAT molecules to the DNA, transcription of specific factors. So these are, there are very roles of cytokines in hematopoiesis. So almost we cannot say that like the hematopoiesis or something like that. It has role in almost all events in your body. Almost all events, interleukins have various functions. Almost all, like most of the time, this is immunity based, but apart from that, they are also responsible for maintenance of particular cells, cell physiology, many things that you can find. So most of the time, this is immune things, right? There are a few examples of that. The cytokines in the immune response, that innate immune response, the IL-1, interleukin 1, that actually responsible for fever, capillary effect. IL-6, that is secreted by macrophages. Adaptive immunity via B cells, right? IL-2, that is also synthesized, so secreted by macrophages. That is adaptive immunity via T cells. That TNF, that is capillary effect, and then active neutrophils. INF alpha, there are many, you just go through that literature, you can find it, right? Immune response, I've already told, that is also responsible for adaptive immunity and active immunity, or both type of immunity depend on that. They can act through both type of cells like T helper cell or T cytotoxic cells or B cells. So these are the one of the most effective thing to treat or some therapeutics like that. Let me go to the other part, the antivirals, drugs and other things. There are various drugs like acyclovir, then acyclovir has various effects. The virus is very dangerous on that sense. There is no antibiotics, and then most of the antiviral diseases have effect on almost all systems other than the specificity is very dangerous. You are putting something, you're killing the virus, so it may other get affected. Like acyclovir is one of the very famous viral drug, antiviral drug, acyclovir, but they affect on brain system, the central nervous system. You will get confusion, seizures, coma, high stress, renal impairment, potential teratogenicity. Some cells get infected, some cells get enlarged or something like that. So only 10 students came today. Okay, so resistance and other that, right? Acyclovir in very virus infections, CMV, EB, other things. You can then famciclovir, another antiviral drug that is effective in many TKNs. So various famciclovir, many things, many drugs are there. That herpes infections is there. Ganciclovir virus they are giving. Formicins, the remain sometime. So two things can be done. The virus can be killed, or the virus actually synthesized. So the viral protein synthesized machinery could be blocked. So the antiviral drug targets two type things. Either they have to kill the virus, or they have to kill this protein synthesis machinery so that the viral protein does not get translated, and the protein is not there, unable to infect. So ribavirin, the interferons, many things are there. So now you can ask or you can discuss. कुछ पूछना है कुछ? तो पढ़ रहे हो तो घर में ना खाली बस खा पी रहे हो?
पढ़ रहे हैं सर।
पढ़ रहे हो क्या भाई?
हाँ सर।
How Maria, what are you doing these days? You are studying?
Little bit we studied, sir.
What?
Not much, not much, but little bit.
So having good food, fees and other things you are getting, fees?
हाँ sir, fish.
Well, मिल रहा है, अभी लोगों को नहीं मिल रहा है, we're not getting. And then मिश्रा जी, how are you? क्या चल रहा है?
पढ़ रहा हूँ सर।
पढ़ रहे हो? अरे क्यों इसका नाम चिन्मयी, क्या कर रहे हो तुम लोग? पढ़ाई हो रही है?
हाँ सर, थोड़ा बहुत।
सुष्मिता,
मतलब जितना मिल रहा है असाइनमेंट।
सुष्मिता, what are you doing?
ज़्यादा नहीं हो रहा।
पढ़ाई हो रही है?
ज़्यादा नहीं हो।
चलो ठीक है। And then तरुण, how are you? कैसे चल रहा है पढ़ाई लिखाई?
चल रहा है सर।
चला। तस्लीमा, how are you? कैसे पढ़ाई चल रही है?
हाँ सर, पढ़ रहे हैं।
आशुतोष,
हाँ सर, पढ़ रहे हैं।
आशुतोष is there. पढ़ रहे हो? And चकार, how are you?
हाँ सर।
Yes sir, fine sir.
पढ़ाई चल रही है, खाना चल रहा है। कहाँ घर तुम्हारा? नागपुर is infected, so be careful.
हॉटस्पॉट है सर नागपुर।
हाँ, hotspot है, so be careful about that. So don't go. Somebody is joining now. So they thought the time, I don't have any importance of time, so somebody, I want to name, I want to see him or her, I don't know who is that joining. So पढ़ो अच्छे से. If this kind of thing is new experience for your future and other thing, most of the postdoc interview are done like that. So I'm doing this after at least 10 years back. 10 years before I used to do that. Postdoc interview, postdoctoral fellowship interview was done like that. And that time I used to do the Skype. Skype was very famous. Zoom was not there. So this is new type of thing. You can experience, you can develop. Who is this fellow? 9.
सर रविकांत को शायद पता नहीं था, अभी कल किया था मेरे को.
हाँ तो यही लग रहा है रविकांत ये 9 ये पता नहीं नाम नहीं दिया इसने, तो आई कुड नॉट गेट हिज नेम. सो ये है अच्छे से वो abstract में this assignment you can send, right? So it is good example. I don't know when the examination will be done. I don't know exactly, but be ready. Examination may be done. Fourth semester student, it must be done. But yours, I don't know what the government will decide. I don't know, but it will take 3rd May tak to band hi hai. It is already closed up to 3rd May. So we are just like in Ireland, right? We are in our country in Ireland. We are not getting good food. No fishes, no fish, no chicken, anything, right? So most of the time people thought that people get infected if you eat some non-veg stuff. So this is absolutely a wrong concept. Actually, what happens? They get infected. Definitely, they get infected when this fish or chicken get during preparation. May get infected. The person who is handling. So because in our cases, most of the time we don't take anything. We never wear the gloves while handling. So that time virus can be there in your chicken or your mutton or your fish. But once it is done, so that everything is gone. The Indian tracing system is so tough. So no virus in the world can exist, in 280 degrees centigrade. So all DNA.
सर हमारे यहाँ तो चिकन 20 किलो रुपए मिल रहा था.
20 रुपया कहीं
20 रुपए किलो मिल रहा था.
Some places are there. There's free. People are not getting it free. Not taking it by free. So this is very good. Time. So learn many things from your home. You write your ideas and other things. So, और कुछ anybody? कौन बचा?
Assignment in the form of chapter.
कौन नाम बताओ? हाँ, you तस्लीमा. कौन बोल रहे हैं?
Yes sir.
अच्छा चकार.
Chakar speaking.
So okay, you can send.
Submit in the form of
whatever it is. What is your how can you do that? What is feasible? You can do that, right? So I have created also Edmodo app. Edmodo is teaching app, so you can send on that. You can see there also. Edmodo is a computer app, so that is like this. You can see this. I can show some of this. So that is also good app on that. So this is the app, Edmodo, right? You're getting?
Yes, sir.
So this your class is there. Your class is there, so you can enroll. So Edmodo is there. So there are I also not used to these things. So need to always utilize your time. So I also learned many things during lockdown. We had never seen lockdown, or maybe the coming 2-3 generation will not witness this type of lockdown, right? So everything is closed. So I don't know whether the people will come or whether you will come in this semester or not. I'm not sure about that. But study. Or one more important thing, maybe next Monday or like this. So I am planning on that to organize a webinar on the challenges. So the impact of coronavirus on aging population of the country. What is the challenges and remedies? So a number of speakers will come and give the lecture. So you have to register, right? And if you register, you will get an e-certificate, because I'm not taking money, so I will not give you certificate. So e-certificate will be issued to all of you. And first speaker, maybe I'm planning, but still it is almost finalized. The first speaker will be Professor M.K. Thakur. So you will be able to like that. और कोई कुछ पूछना चाहता है? Is just going to finish very soon. Any topic so you want to know? So these are the things we use to study. And another one is like you can go through that, and this is very interesting. That part, what I see, the biochemistry is almost done. So हम लोग कह रहे थे ना कि why you are
हाँ, sir.
so fast. It is useful.
हाँ.
So there is a one
हाँ, sir.
term, one term that is called base stacking. You have seen that base stacking. Maybe you will not get the note on that. Base stacking is
That's
that
taking.
base stacking. Stacking, that means like doing anything, like what एक के ऊपर एक रख देना, just like this. That is stacking. एक के ऊपर किताब रखा है पीछे ना. So that is stacking. So stacking, most of the time this nitrogen base get stacked to avoid the free space. So the hydrophobicity is there. If the base stacking is not there, so what will happen? So this DNA will never get this original conformations to restrict in a particular place, and the supercoiling character of the DNA will be damaged. So this base stacking is one of the property. So they are very close. So the hydrophobic region of the DNA get impregnated or like that hiding on that. So that is called base stacking. There are different type of DNA structures. Like the most stable one is the V form of DNA. You know that, and that different types of DNA depends on the base stacking patterns, and that actually affect the rotation of the DNA. Most of the time, this is we say, and we know that is a clockwise method, right? So sometimes 10 base pair, so that is B type. Sometimes 11 base pair, that is C type, or 10.5 base pair. That like the only one form of DNA that is called Z form of DNA. Z form. So the Z form of DNA is left-handed, anti-clockwise, right? Anti-clockwise. So these are the different type of DNA structure. That is depending on the base stacking method of that. The base stacking method actually gives on that. So these are the few things we have already addressed. And cholesterol biosynthesis, another thing you can read that is beautifully given.
अच्छा, बहुत थोड़ा complicated लग रहा है.
No, it's not complicated. Up to squalene you have to write. Squalene structure जो है, up to squalene structures, when the ring structure is done, ring बन रहा पहली बार देखना, you can go through that and you find that squalene is formed. Squalene is a 21 carbon molecule, and when the first time that molecule is getting round in structure, and from squalene you just write cholesterol. That step is very difficult, so you can go that. Up to squalene is very important step. And in the initial step, when this step is committed for synthesis, the 5-hydroxy reductase जो है पहला HMG-CoA, so that is most important aspect. How this cholesterol biosynthesis is regulated. Once the HMG-CoA reductase is there, there is no way the cell can go backward. It has to synthesize cholesterol. So cholesterol is one of the very important aspect, and molecules that is a backbone of most of the steroid hormones like estrogen, progesterone most of the time, and it's very useful on that. ठीक है, तो ये है virus का note मैंने दिया है. Bacteriophage I have already given. This may be uploaded. What I taught you may नहीं भी पढ़ाएंगे तो चलेगा. You can go through the site and you can get it, right? और क्या नाम है इसका? He got Leach. He got this any letter from this summer training? No.
No, sir. No, not yet.
They will be delayed, I guess, right? And then one girl is also there. Yes, tell.
Varsha.
So
Varsha.
what happened to? She is not coming in the class. Maybe. Okay. So okay. Anything you want to ask? We have some time, like 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes. So you can discuss. Maybe from today I may not take classes online, so, right? So you can ask anything. कहाँ गया Nihar Ranjan? Where is Nihar?
सर अभी मैसेज किया मेरे को.
हाँ. कहाँ चला गया?
सो रहा हो गया था.
Anything you want to say? Karun, 10 students are there, so let's go. Okay then, if no question, then we'll end the class here. Okay, stay home, stay safe, and have good food. Right?
Thank
घर
you,
का
sir.
खाना खाओ.
Thank you, sir.
So he can withstand the pressure when he will come. So maybe it will, if I'm not sure about that, but if suggestion will be given from me, I will take 3 examinations per day. So it will be finished in 2 days, right?
Oh
Otherwise,
God.
no way. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Suppose you take examination for again 1 month, it is impossible to teach the next semester.
Hmm.
So if suggestion will be given from me, I will definitely ask to complete the examination in 2 days. Yours 2 days, 2 paper per day. Or it happened 3 paper 1 day and 1 paper 1 day. So it happened like that. Okay. So chalo, okay. All the best. Have a nice time. Have a nice day. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.